A good deal of confusion surrounds the name and writings of this John. It now seems likely that John the Elder, Saba, and John of Dalyatha, the vine branches, are one and the same person. John evidently belonged to the monastic circles of the Church of the East, living somewhere in the region of Mount Kardu, North Iraq, in the early part of the 8th century. His most important writings consist of 22 homilies or discourses and a collection of 51 short letters. These show him to be an intuitive writer of great warmth and fervor, with a predilection for the imagery and spiritual senses. This imagery of the spiritual senses. For John the Elder, as for John Apamea before him, the mystic life was essentially the anticipated experience of the resurrection life. As such, it is the true fruit of the sacraments, or, to use the Syriac term, the mysteries of baptism and the Eucharist. 2 of John's recently published letters are translated here. The short, letter 5, is an ardent invitation to the love of God. Characteristically, it breaks out into prayer at the end. Letter 12, specifically on prayer, describes the transition from active prayer to the receptive state of wonder, which lies beyond prayer. Prayer is simply the knocking at the door, and it becomes redundant once entry has actually been made into the place of mysteries. There are many basic similarities here with Isaac's description in Discourse 12, or 22, chapter 12, point 3 above. In particular, it will be noticed that John follows Isaac in referring to the Syriac text of Evagrius, which speaks of prayer as being cut off by wonder. John the Elder's writings, along with Joseph the Visionary's, were condemned by the authorities of the Church of the East at a synod in 786 and 7 on grounds that they showed Messalian tendencies, a totally misguided accusation. John's works, however, continued to be appreciated in monastic circles, and not just within his own Church of the East, for his writings are transmitted in a considerable number of Syrian Orthodox manuscripts as well, and they were translated both into Arabic, where he is known as the spiritual sheik, and in part into Greek. In Greek, 4 of John's homilies have found their way into the edition by Saint Nicephorus of Holy Mountain of the Greek translation of the first part of the works of Saint Isaac of Nineveh. John the Elder's letter 18, containing rules for novices, also found its way into Greek, where it features under the names both of Saint Isaac, Patrologio Graeca, and of Saint Dorotheus of Gaza, Patrologia Graecia. John the Elder, letter 5. To him who hears and obeys be the peace of him who sanctifies. 1. O man of God, listen to the words of your friend. No, my dear brother, let us not impose our will upon Christ. Rather, let us submit ourselves to his will. Do you want Christ to appear to you in prayer as he would to his friend? Let love for him be within you without a moment's break. Do you want this love to be continually inflamed in your soul? Then remove from your soul love for the world. Are you desirous that your abode would be in that place which is without place, being in God? Leave the world as a baby leaves the womb, then you will have seen reality. For Christ cannot live with the world. I beg you listen to him as he admonishes, as he demonstrates to you with his own words, I am not of the world. For this reason it chases me away from where I would live, and I cannot live with it, because it hates me. But he is continuously overshadowing the soul and visiting it, so that if it become empty of things of the world, he can dwell in it. Two, are you desirous of seeing the radiant beams of the beauty of the Holy Trinity in your soul? Keep the commandments of Christ, for he said, when you keep my commandments, it is then that my love shall be found with you, and with the fulfillment of those in the soul. He said that he and his Father and his Spirit will come and make a habitation, and there he will dwell and be seen. He also said that his friends were not of the world, and that the world has hated them. The fulfillment of this commandment radiant beams of the Holy Trinity. The fulfillment of his commandments is the cross, that is to say, the forgetting and obliteration of all desire for the world, and a yearning desire to depart from it in the flame of love, as was the case with St. Paul. In openness of speech toward my God, and in confidence, I truly say that the moment the mind strips off the world, it puts on Christ. The moment it departs from thinking about affairs of the world, it encounters God. The moment the soul cuts off from itself associating with the world, the Spirit starts singing within it of its ineffable mysteries. It is a mystery for me here, and a cause for fear, but to the true truth is revealed. If only the pupils of the eyes could stir up tears sufficient to irrigate the land, the canals would be abundantly full. What is it we have exchanged this for? Alas, alas for me. O Christ, who repaid with his own innocent blood the debt which our foolish will incurred, open up our minds' eyes that we may realize whither we are traveling. May your light, which illumines the choirs of your sanctuary like the sun, lead me toward you. May your Spirit, Lord, place me amidst them, both here and in the world of light. May he instruct me how to recite with them from their book the praise to you, which cannot be heard. Create me, Lord, a new creature that resembles your beauty, so that we may forget and wipe out the memory of our former nature. 4. Glory to the abundance of your ineffable love. Your door is open, Lord, and no one is entering. Your glory is revealed, but no one pays attention. Your light shines out in the pupils of our eyes, but we are not willing to see. Your right hand is extended, ready to give, but there is no one who takes from it. You entice us with all sorts of attractions, but we ignore them. You instill fear with terrors, which are nevertheless intermingled with mercy, but we do not flee to you. O our God, who is good, have pity on our miserable state. O our Father, full of mercy, urge yourself to force us to draw near to you, seeing that we ourselves are unwilling to urge you. Remove our soul from prison, for we have imprisoned ourselves, and bring us to the true light, even though we are unwilling. May your might put us in safekeeping, drawing us up out of the submerged state towards which we are heading. Remove, Lord, from before our sight all the veils by which our soul's vision is encumbered, preventing it from seeing your true light. May we stand naked with open face in that light continually and without interruption. May we continue in desire for and delight in its beauty unto eternal ages. Amen. John the Elder, Letter 12, on Prayer. The monk who continually prays to God, accompanied by stirrings of one sort or another, still stands below the consummate grade. You will object, saying, "Do not blaspheme, brother. Our fathers exalt this form of prayer more than all the other labors." Indeed, I too am one of those who extol it, and I ask of my God that I may complete the rest of my life in such prayer. I acknowledge that it is something magnificent and much more exalted than all other labors. Though it is fatiguing, yet it gives rest to the weary, ensuring that, once they are rested, they never weary again. Understand this well, my brother. Christ said to Simon, the head of the apostles, "To you do I give the keys of the kingdom of heaven, so that you may close and open to whomever you wish." It is not to him alone that he gave this authority, but to all lovers of truth. Now prayer is just the knocker on the door of him who gives. So how can the person who has entered the kingdom and received authority over its treasuries knock at the door? He enjoys the blessings within, and is utterly astounded at the beauty of the good one. It is ridiculous to say that such a person is actually praying, Rather, he is completely intoxicated with the beauty of the most wondrous bridegroom. Evagrius says, "Prayer is purity of the mind, the movements of whose prayer are not interrupted except once the holy light of the Trinity has shone out in the mind." For he says, prayer is cut off by means of wonder at the light. Thus the consummation consists in wonder at God, as we have said, and not in continual stirrings of prayer. The person who has entered the place of the mysteries remains in wonder at them, and this is the true prayer which opens the door to the treasures of God, allowing those who seek to have their fill of all they need. Freely have you received. Do yourselves give freely. To everyone you wish. How could anyone dare to say of those who have been given authority over wealth, to give it as if it were their own to everyone they wished, that they are knocking at the door like beggars, asking for alms to meet their needs? No, rather they distribute life, raise the dead, convey hope, give light to the blind. You are the light of the world, he said. I will give you the keys. You are no longer someone who asks, for you have acquired authority, as though over what belonged to yourself, to bind and to loose, in this world and in the age of ages. How can such a person prostrate himself at the door and beg like a vagabond, seeing that the keys to the treasury are already placed in his hands, enabling him to take and give, have life and provide life? But you will say, why did Simon go up to the roof to pray? And the great Paul say that he prays continuously. These apostles, brethren, employ words that are appropriate to us, inasmuch as they will be recognizable by us. By means of them, they provide us with a type of things transcendent. These words are for us, and not at all for themselves. Did you not hear how, when Simon went up to the roof, wonder fell upon him? And how does someone in a state of wonder and amazement actually pray? It is the Spirit who prays on our behalf, says the Holy Paul. Thus it is a question of the operation of the Spirit, and not the movements of prayer. Just as he said, God has shone out in our hearts, and his Spirit probes the depths and reveals to us his mysteries. We wanted to do this ourselves, but the Spirit of Jesus did not let us, for we have the mind of Christ, in order to see the mysteries of the Father's house. At that stage, they have entered the place of wonderment. They have acquired authority in the world of visions. The Spirit has united them to the wondrous beauty. No more will they get weary in prayer. No more will they weep at the door. No more will they cry out from afar, show us your beauty. No more will they ask like beggars, distribute some of your wealth to us. They give because they have received. They distribute because they have grown rich. They provide rest because they have found rest in the haven of life. They rejoice and they give joy, for they are intoxicated with love of him who is beautiful. Rivers of living water flow from the belly of him who believes in me. Why do they flow, Lord? Teach me. They give the life to others. They give to the thirsty to drink. They give life to others, and they give the thirsty to drink. And how can the person who has become one with Christ actually pray, as if he was someone not acquainted with the master of the house? And to whom does he pray, seeing that he is God's Son? Your Father who is in heaven knows what you require even before you ask him. And why did Paul say, pray and do not grow weary? As long as he is a servant, he indeed prays. But once born of the Spirit in the world of prayer, he is a son of God, and he has authority over the riches, being an heir, just as he does not merely ask. This prayer is the greatest of all labors. It opens the door to the place of wonderment. It gives rest to weariness. It stills all movements. Maybe you will say, you are speaking about wonderment, and I do not know the meaning of wonderment. Let me adduce as testimony the words of a certain brother, who is worthy to be believed. He used to say, when the grace of my God so wills it within me, it draws my intellect to wonder at the sight of him, so that it remains the entire day motionless, in the place of wonderment. Then, once it has left there, it again prays and supplicates that the light of hidden being that is hidden within him may shine forth in the world, full of wonder. From that point onwards, there is no place for words, no place where the pen's torrent could travel along the paths of ink. Here the boundary is set, namely, silence. Only the mind is permitted to cross over and have a sight of that place where all symbols find their rest. The noose. For the mind is authorized to enter and wonder at the wondrous beauty which is beyond all, yet hidden within all. Thus any prayer that is not from time to time transformed in wonder at the mysteries has not yet reached consummation, as we explained above. Nor can prayer consisting of stirrings last continuously if it has not tasted at all of the wonder which comes with the joy of God. Continuous prayer is wonder at God. That is the sum of our message. You may go on to say, do not speak about things with which you are not acquainted. Do not talk about matters which you have not explained. I too hang my head in shame, and will keep silent, taking refuge in divine mercy. Assist me in prayer.